All right, so before we start rendering, let's add some more life to our scene. Basically, we're almost done. So we're going to add some beds. Beds. That's what they call beds. I'm going to choose seagull. The trick about adding birds is that you can add them at any point, but I like to add them at the floor level, and then I just extrude it up. So I've added 1, I've added 2. I'm gonna probably do like maybe 5. I've added 3. I've added 4 and 5. Now I've added birds, but they're all at the ground level, and that's not where they are supposed to be flying. So I'm gonna come to select, and I'm going to extrude it up. That's move vertical. So I'm taking this one up. Notice the height. I'm probably thinking maybe 8 meters should be right about, just about it. 7-8 meters. That's one has gone up. The second one, maybe that also. The third one, could have them fly at maybe 6 meters. You don't want them flying into your building, so you have to observe the heights basically, so you don't have them. All right, so after adding that to my scene, the next thing I want to do is just let me just start with the settings. Let me just start with my preset, and then I'm going to walk my way through through my rendering settings basically. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. All right, so I'm going to be using the custom style realistic. I'm going to be using that because why not? I'm trying to do a more realistic thing, so that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm just going to edit it. So I want to edit my real skies. I'm going to pick what type of scene am I trying to do, right? That's the question. Maybe a clear or cloudy. I think one of the cloudy scenes are just about it. Then I'm just going to adjust my heading. That's basically the direction of my sun, right? Probably wanted to cast the shadows maybe this way. After adjusting that, I might decide to adjust the brightness of my sky, but that may not be so necessary, so let's just keep it at this point. Don't want it to be too bright, don't want it to be too dull either, but I think that's just about it. And then I want to adjust the sharpness. I like to just add a little bit of sharpness, not so much, because I don't want the scene to be that, I don't want the image to be that sharp, right? So just a little bit of it should be fine. Next thing I want to do is to adjust. Perhaps I would like to add some fog. Is that what you call it? Yeah, fog. You would find your fog under, I think that should be under weather. Yes, sky and weather. Just add a little bit of fog to your scene. I don't want it to be like to cover my scene, obviously, but I want it to just be a subtle type, just a little bit of fog density. When adding this, I don't necessarily want the fog to like eat into the sky, if that makes sense. All right, so after adjusting the fog effect, let's go ahead and adjust a couple more of the effect. I think my exposure, probably, I like to dull it down a little bit since I'm looking at a cabin in the woods kind of vibe, because if I take it a bit up, it's too bright. So I'm looking for maybe a 0.4. That sounds about right. Not so dark, but maybe a 0.4 might be a reasonable exposure. The reflection, the only thing I am particularly concerned about with regards to the reflection is this water effect we have here, or this water surface. So I'm just going to, my reflection is already enabled, so I'm going to click on either the normal preview or the high quality. You can go for the high quality, but it might make your scene a little bit heavier. So let's just go ahead and click on the active planes. I just want to add a single plane of the water. If you want, you can decide to add a mild reflection plane on the building itself. Just a little bit of that, it's okay. But my particular focus is on the water effect, and you can see the noticeable difference in the water effect. We use a muddy surface for the water, so it's a bit subtle. The reflection is a bit subtle, so you can see the difference if we click none, or if you go for the high quality. So that's all about the editing we are going to do for the reflection. The hyperlights, enabled it in preview. Just a mild one, maybe 25% or 30%. It's okay. Now let's move on. My skylights, very important that you add your skylights. I'm going to check these two boxes. I'm going for a rendering quality of ultra, and then I'm just going to adjust the brightness a little bit, just a little bit. So I want to give it a little bit of saturation, not so much anyway, just a small amount. See how the scene is starting to come out a bit better. My shadows, my shadow type, I like to keep it as sharp. Some people like to go for ultra sharp, but I think it's just about the preferences. So I think sharp is okay, because I like to use finer detail shadows and then keep it on sharp. Under the settings, I usually don't do a lot of adjusting when it comes to this. I just change my shadow type to sharp as opposed to it being normal. So I think that's okay for me. One very crucial effect I'm going to add another effect. I'm going to add the I think, okay, I've already added the fog effect. So I'm looking to add, I think that's, let's see, something very important. 2-point perspective. Very important that you add that also, so your image is straight and it's not tilting to one side based on your camera angle. I'm also going to add, very importantly, I'm going to add autumn colors. Just because of my scene, just because of the number of vegetations I have, I'm going to want to select autumn colors. I'm going to pick my green. There are different types anyway, you can just play around with it, but I'm going to be using the regular green. And then I'm just going to adjust the target range a little bit. There's a difference when you adjust the slider. It's a very subtle difference in your final render, but it's there. Now I'm going to move my color shifts, just something like this. Just want to have a small variation, a very subtle variation type, so it shows that there are different kinds of colors of my vegetations in my scene. So that's okay. My target layer, I'm trying to target the trees also. Alright, so that's okay. That's that about that. Okay, I think I'm almost done. I'm gonna do a quick render, and then if I need to adjust more settings, I can come back and just adjust it. So let's just do a quick render of this. So this is the first render. It's not a bad render. I think I just need to maybe add some color correction and edit that a little bit. I'm not really seeing enough of my fog tool, so I'll probably need to edit that and add a little bit of fog in the background. And this area seems a bit kind of empty and plain, so I'm just going to populate that area of the scene a little bit more. So let's go back to our model. Let's go back to our rendering. So the first thing I want to do is to just give my color correction. I think I kind of forgot to edit that. So my color correction style, probably going to maybe adjust the temperature just a little bit more. Not so much, just a little bit of that. I don't want the scene to be so bright, so I'll probably reduce the brightness just by a little amount. I want to tone up the vibrance a little bit more so the different colors can pop. Probably want to give it a little bit more contrast. just a little bit. These things are very subtle in the way you go about them. You don't want to have anything in excess, then it becomes obvious that it's not so realistic in its output. So just a subtle change here and there, and then you can see the overall. You can basically see the difference. Basically, you see the difference. Probably tone down the gamma correction a little bit. The gamma correction rather. Tone that down just a little bit because I'm trying to look for a darker field. I think the earlier render was a bit too loud and light. All right, so after doing that, I think my fog, I complained about the fog. I wasn't so comfortable with that, so maybe I want to tone up the fog density a little bit. Maybe not so much, just a little bit, so I can see it in the background. I think this might be too much, but let's see how that plays out. I'm also going to go, and I talked about this area of the scene being a bit too dull, so I'm going to have some vegetations around that. My scene is becoming heavier in a way, basically. So maybe some dead wood, single placement, maybe some dead wood around first. I'm going to go and put a couple of grasses. I'm going to put a couple of grasses around, just maybe something here closer to the water. Something here also. I don't particularly like that type of grass. Maybe this one's a bit bigger anyway, but can hide it somewhere here in the background of that. And some simple grass just around this. I don't know how this is gonna come out. I have a leafless tree there. Okay, probably maybe some butterflies around this area, and then I just drag it up a little bit. Yeah, okay. There's one other thing I thought about adding earlier. It's a smoke effect coming out from this point here. I don't know what they call that. A chimney. I don't think that's what it's called. I think that I can find that under effects, smoke. Probably something like this or this. I don't want it to be so big, so much. Just a bit subtle. Maybe this. That's a bit smaller. No, that's too much. I think this one is okay. Something in the middle. Maybe one here also, or on this point. I just skipped I forgot that I did not edit the material of my roof. I thought I added a roofing material, but turns out that didn't happen. So I'm just going to add something maybe kind of subtle to blend into the overall. Okay, adjust the edges a little bit, tone up the relief. And tone up the weathering just a little bit. I'm working on an aluminium roof, so probably want to go with that. All right, so I think that's good. And then this color, I want to make that a concrete, but I'm going to tone the color to. I'm going to retain this one, the concrete. Tone up the relief, edges. Edge it up a little bit. Okay, that's fine. I wanted to also add a fire effect down here. Since I have a fireplace, probably better if I put it inside the house. No, there's no real need to have that again. So let me just go ahead and remove that thing. That's an object, right? Yes, it's under object. So I'm going to delete this. Right, so let's go back. Let's go back to our rendering image and let's try to make this work. Am I completely okay with everything? Yeah, I think that's it. So let's just do a second render. Let's just do a second render too. All right, so I'm sufficiently happy with this second render. I think is way better than the first one. I think the scene just comes up a bit more in the second render. So yeah, I think this is good. This is good. Although there are more improvements that you could make, that's more like a style choice at this point. But I think that second render is just nice. So I'm going to do a quick video animation, just something small, maybe a 5 seconds or 3 seconds, but nothing so extravagant anyway. So I'm just panning around my scene a little bit. I'm just going to make this maybe a 5 second short animation. Yeah, that's too fast. No, that's too fast. That's too fast. That's too fast. I'm gonna take out this scene just from here to here. 6 seconds. Let's see how that plays out. It's still a bit fast anyway, but I'm generally okay with it. All right, so I'm going to be using the same effect from my photo render. I'm going to be using the same effect. I'm just going to copy this effect, and then I come to the movie, and then I just paste the effect. So it's basically the same effect that I'm going to be using. Basically the same effect I'm going to be using for the image rendering. I'm only going to add one more effect, probably more than one, but I think I'm going to just add I don't know what they call it. I think it's the wind. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm just going to add the wind effect. I'm going to increase the wind speed to somewhere around 95%. Okay, I think the wind speed, that's okay there. Maybe I probably just adjust the direction a little bit, maybe something like 260, 75. It goes in different directions. So wherever you adjust your wind direction to be, is where it's going to have the effect on. And then your foliage wind. So I think this one specifically talks about your vegetation. This one is particularly concerned about your vegetation. So how many percent you want there? I think 100 is just fine, since I have a lot of vegetation and I want to see the effects I want to see the moving effect of my vegetations around the scene. So I think that's the main effect I'm going to be adding to this. I might decide to add a couple more, but I think that's just about it. Precipitation can really pop this scene a little bit more, but for this particular render, I'm going to not add any precipitation effect. I think these ones are just fine. And I'm going to run the render real quick, and then we're going to see that at the end of this video. Alright, so render movie. I usually go for the full HD, because the higher you go, the faster or the slower your render is going to be, although the quality is going to be much better. But maybe your computer may not be able to carry 4K rendering or the quad HD. So I think the full HD is just about fine. I render with 60 frames per second. I see a lot of people render with 30 frames per second. This is kind of like the default settings. So you can do 60 frames per second, although it's much slower. And if you want to have your production quality to be set the highest, it's going to be much slower. So it's just about basically what you want to do with your scene at this point. So I think that's just okay. So I'm going to just render the full HD. I'm just going to give that clip 1. I think that's just about it. So this right here is the end of this particular video. You could see how we were able to render, to get our model from ArchiCAD into Lumion, how we were able to do the different effects. I probably do a separate video where I talk about some in-depth settings and in-depth tools and focus more time on it. So this is kind of rushed. So if you want more, if you want a bit of more information, just leave a comment in the video, and then I'll get to more videos as I can. So thank you everyone for sticking with me on this particular video. Until next time, everyone, stay safe.